Hey, good morning, lads. Good morning from a beautiful home in Kaikoura. So I kind of woke up this morning and somehow began telling myself my own journey with grief. And then I kind of thought, well, this is real. Um, Grief tends to happen behind closed doors, in my experience. Um, somebody dies, and the curtains are pulled in the family home, which in my experience is to give the family privacy, but I don't know, kind of got myself thinking privacy from what? I mean, grief is an emotion, is a human reaction, I suppose, to a human experience, but look, who am I to talk? Grief has happened behind this door for I don't know, 28 years or so, but I got up this morning and yeah, just started telling myself my story. So yeah, when I was 9, a couple of days before my 10th birthday, um, Mum said to me one morning, woke and called her father. He should be awake by now. It was 10:30, and I went up and I called him and I kind of like poked him and yeah, he wasn't waking up. So I went back down to Mum and I said, Mum, you know, I called him and stuff and he's not waking up. And she said, go ahead, open the curtains and um, pull the blankets off him and give him a shake and he'll wake up then. And I went back up and I done what she said and I pulled back the covers, the blankets from him, and I shook him there and all here went black. Now, I was 9 and not a GP, not a doctor, but I knew that was not good. So I ran back down and I said, Ma'am, I called him, he's not waking up, and his chest went all black, and she went up and came back down really quickly in hysterics. We went and called a friend's dad, and he went up and came back down and said, oh, I'm sorry guys, he's gone. And yeah, the curtains were pulled. And the next few days the funeral happened, and everything took its course. And I remember then, for most of my teenage years, thinking, he's not dead. He's going to come in the front door someday, any day now, with his denim jacket on, like he always had. And I was kind of scared because the conversation was going to be awkward. I was like, "You're supposed to be dead. Like, where have you been?" And of course, he never came through the doors, and I held on to that hope or non-acceptance um, for a long, long time. Um, and through those teenage years, there was something, some sort of, I don't know what to call it, happening in here, but Dad was bald when he died, and he was 42, and I somehow, probably quite logically, considering I was so young, linked baldness with death. So around age 25, actually before 25, there was times where I would lie awake at night, just basically with the, not the realization, but with the fear that I'm going to die someday. And yeah, it wasn't nice. But around 25, I made some very, very good decisions in my life. I stopped drinking for quite a number of years. I stopped drinking fizzy drinks and white bread, and made all these diet changes, and became quite a fit athlete. But I also made another decision, which was to stop putting shampoo and conditioner into my hair. Because somebody had, or I had heard somewhere that coconut oil thickens your hair. So I thought, very logically, keep your hair, keep your life. So even now I see that for what it is. Actually I still, in 13 years, haven't put shampoo or conditioner in my hair. Yeah, keep your hair, keep your life. So that was, 25, pushing on through the years, and I suppose probably into my early 30s, I began to just think and put myself into dad's shoes. And I remember, I think he was made redundant, maybe lost his job when I was 6, 7 or 8, something like that, and I was just wondering what life might have been like for him, etc. But I didn't really have any memories of him, or at least I was pushing them away, and I would, go to his grave at Christmas time and on his birthday and various other times of the year, but I never cried there. I felt awkward, if I'm being honest. I just sit there looking at pictures of him, looking to feel something, but not being ready to. I suppose I was numb, looking back. And life just continued on, through my 30s and mid 30s, etc. And then when I was 36, I decided to take 5 months of a trip around the world, which has turned into nearly 2 years. So lucky me. And I went to India first of all, and I remember being in yoga teacher training in India, and I would be opening a door to go into a bathroom, and my mind would say, "You're going to find your dad dead in here." It was like, at first I was like, what's this? But I would, I suppose, I had the practice through yoga and meditation that is just to observe a thought, but also be aware of what it might be showing you or telling you. So we didn't push it away. Then one day in yoga, while some lady was lying on the ground and the teacher was going to demonstrate on her, when I looked towards the demonstration, I didn't see the lady. I saw my dad's body lying on the ground, dead body. And again, at first I was a little bit like, oh, but you kind of go, okay, see what's happening here. Don't look away, don't shy away from it. Those visions, or if that's the correct label for them, they went away again. I came to New Zealand and done a lot of meditating during lockdown last year in a house in Queenstown, and all this stuff started to come up, and I found my way to Stratheen Retreat Centre in Otaki that I've talked about before. John, the guardian of Stratheen, likes to call Stratheen the home of masters. Looking back now, I would call it the home of healing. I can, one day out volunteering, servicing in one of the sheds, building a fantastic yoga studio, and there was some furniture there covered by a sheet, and as I looked and glanced at the sheet, my mind began to say, that's your dad's body under that sheet. And again it was like, ooh. But I began to look at it more and more, but I was a little bit uncomfortable, so I pulled the sheet back from the cushions to show myself that it wasn't my dad underneath the sheet. But I felt that was shying away from whatever was coming to the surface, so I pulled the sheet back, and while I knew it was cushions covered by a sheet, the visions as such were there. And they were also present inside in the main room inside in Stratheen, inside in the lounge. Sometimes we'd be doing yoga or sitting by the fire, and there's a big bay window there. And I'd look up towards the bay window and I'd see a coffin with my dad in it. So I recognised what was happening, and one evening while everybody was gone to bed, I set up the lounge with rows of chairs, maybe 5 rows of 5 or something, to resemble the funeral parlour all those years ago. And I sat down in the right hand corner where I sat at the time. And if I take you back to the time, I can remember sitting there with my friend Keith at the time. And imagine the maturity of Keith. Keith was saying to me, you need to go up and see your dad. He was the same age as me. To me, it wasn't my dad in a coffin at the top of the parlour. It was a dead body, and I was scared of dead bodies, so I wasn't going. And he said, you'll never get another chance. Come on, I'll go with you. And eventually I did, and I'm very grateful to Keith for this moment. But I walked up and I wouldn't look, and then when I got there I had a quick look and I touched Dad's wrist and ran off as quick as I could. So it was all happening very quickly. You die and in 2 or 3 days you're buried, and but life, you begin to try to return to normal. So to take you back to Strathdene, now all of a sudden I had as much time as I wanted. I had as much time as I needed. There was Dad in his coffin at the front of the lounge and back in the funeral parlour scenario, and I'm not scared of their bodies. I think witnessing the cremations in India probably had a massive effect on that, actually, now, just thinking of it now. I approached Dad's coffin in Strathdene, and again, whether it's a memory, imagination, a vision, whatever it is, it doesn't even need a label. There he was, and I held his hand, and I had as much time as I want, and there was a great sense of peace and a great sense of probably at the time I thought maybe letting go or something, that I had fully grieved now. And it was a wonderful calming moment. There was no sadness in it. It was gratefulness or something. It was just appreciation. It was like, yeah, I have that moment back and I have as much time as I need. And I done the same thing again the next night because I enjoyed it so much. And yeah, that was that moment in Strathdene. And I probably thought I had fully grieved, and now I'm probably of the opinion that you maybe you never do. These things maybe just keep coming around and you look at them in different ways, but some of the experiences I would have had since would have been moments I would just say to myself, God, I don't know what my dad's voice sounds like. And that would have a little emotional reaction. And you'd sit with it for a few days and it would pass by, and then there's times where you'd say, I don't know my dad. I was 9. I don't know who he is. But then you have other realizations where I'm getting to know my dad by getting to know myself. So what do I mean by that? Well, Dad's favourite singer was a singer called Leonard Cohen. Now, I don't know how many people watching this video know who Leonard Cohen was, but he was more of a poet than a singer. But he was a very, very deep man, and his music is incredibly deep. So there must have been a deepness about that, to be listening to such a guy. And the more I get to know myself, the more I see the deepness in me. So I'm getting to know my dad by getting to know myself. And you move on with that realization. You move on with that. Another experience I've had in recent times as well is I've done what's known as a third eye journey. Let's call it a meditation, for example, and you go inside your mind or your heart, wherever you go. And I remember some of the significant moments from this journey was that I kind of came out of it saying, I don't have a memory, an image, a moment of having eye contact with my dad. And it was similar with his mum. saying the same thing afterwards. You know, I had witnessed most of my family through this journey, but I don't have eye contact with Dad, and I don't seem to have a memory of eye contact with my nanny. And when you inquire about this, you tend to think, do I feel like he hasn't acknowledged me? And that's worth listening to when it comes up. But also, what's worth thinking about is, well, have I looked them in the eye? In the sense that have I looked death in the eye? Have I looked loss in the eye? Because I had eye contact images with some other members of my family that are alive, but I didn't, or I will say now I don't seem to have. With two of the deceased members, and that's, I'm not jumping to any conclusions or trying to say it's this way or that way, but it's interesting that yeah, maybe it's not so much that they haven't looked at me, more that I haven't looked at them. Yeah, and then I suppose my next little moment of pondering on grief has been this morning, telling myself or recalling all these little moments. So where do I finish today's video, or today's chat? I don't know. You know, yeah, grief in my experience happens behind closed doors, whether it be behind your front door to your home, behind your curtains, or behind the closed windows of your eyes or something. But hey, it's all just human, isn't it? So that's my story. Namaste. Dedesha. Have a nice day, lads. Thanks for listening.